2 seconds. Waiting for Facebook. There we go. All right. So hello and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about moderating energy, learning why, going slow and not pushing ourselves past our breaking point, and getting committed to the process of whatever we're in, why that is the best thing for going far, and why it is essentially opposed to everything that our culture tells us we're supposed to be doing. Because our culture tells us that everything that we want and everything that we are meant to achieve and all of the greatness and the spiritual discipline and the enlightenment and the relationship stuff and everything that we want, it tells us that we can find some sort of hack or find some sort of trick or find some sort of fast route to making it happen. And that we need to push hard and we need to grind and we need to go for it and we need to go hard for it now and we have to be all in and we have to be completely committed. And if we're not doing those things and if we're not getting super fast results and if everything's not falling into place right here, right now, exactly how we want it to, that we're doing it wrong. And at the same time, I feel like, again, right, like we're living in a culture that's addicted to the quick fix, that's addicted to the idea of something taking us from where we are, which is in a place of pain or in a place where we don't have what we want or in a place where we're confused or in a place where we don't know where we're going or how to get to where we want to go, to where we want to go, right? And a lot of us feel in this life that we're living, pain that we have been told or that we have placed all of our kind of eggs in one basket around. So we're in pain, we have something we're struggling with, we have our struggles, we have our whatever. And we all think, if I could just fix this one area of my life, if I could just get the relationship, I'd finally be happy. If I could just get the enlightenment, I'll finally be happy. If I could just learn to fully love and accept myself, I'll finally be happy. And if I get the healthy body, if I get the job, if I move, whatever it is, right? And we're pushing and we're trying so hard to find the thing that's going to take us out of our pain. And we, like I said, are told that it's that there's some fast route to getting it done, that there's a hack, that there's a way to develop mastery, that there's a way to develop proficiency, that there's a way to hack the system so that we can get faster results. And all I want to say is that ultimately what I have experienced in my life and all of the people that I know that have really cultivated something that's worth cultivating, it's literally just been time. Like there was no hack, there was no quick fix, there was no short way. And understanding that we have layers to our being, understanding that we have habits, and understanding that, again, so much of what we want and so much of what we want to grow into and so much of what is going to take us from where we are and our pain and our struggles and our suffering to where we want to go is built over time. That there isn't a way to hack it. There isn't a way to shortcut the process. There isn't an easy route, because part of what is healing about the thing we want, part of achieving the end result, is the fact that we learned how to moderate and how to be disciplined and how to go slow and go deep rather than going wide fast. Okay? So again, I want to kind of just for a moment frame this in the context of self-love, because I just want to give an example, which I think then all of us can take that thing that we're doing this with and see that we're doing this. Okay, so the first things first is I've seen a lot of people on the self-love path who get to a point where they feel like they're like constantly in a state of trying to process, and constantly in a state of trying to break through their negative and limiting beliefs, and constantly in a state where they're just like obsessively focusing on all these parts of themselves they don't love, and all these things they can't accept, and all the feelings they can't feel, and it becomes this thing where they're like completely wrapped up in it, and it's like an obsession, and they can't seem to like relax about it, and it becomes like I'm failing at my self-love path, I'm failing at loving this part, I can't be with this feeling, I can't do this, and I have to try harder, and I have to process this, and I have to process this, and I have to get in there, and what about this, and I have to look at that, and I have to do this, and I have to do that, and what about this practice, and am I doing enough, and am I doing it hard enough, and am I doing it good enough? And what I think is happening here, so right, if we're doing this in any area of our lives, okay, with our health path, like we start to get overly consumed with the minutia details of, are we doing our diet right? Is this the right thing? Should we adjust this? Should we tweak this? Should we do this? And we're feeling absolutely every little thing in our body, and we're wondering, okay, did this make progress? This is a big part. And we're listening to every podcast, and we're reading every book, and we're trying every diet, and we're jumping all around, right? And we just keep looking for that thing, the thing that's going to fix us. And every time we make a little bit of progress, there's some hope or whatever, but if there's a setback, we like give up on what we're doing, we abandon it, we say that thing didn't work, we try something new, we abandon that, we try something new, we abandon that, we try something new, okay. Or maybe, like I say, with relationships, we're obsessively looking for the one, and excessively looking for what's inside of us that's making it so that we're not attracting the one, or what is it that in me that's attracted to the wrong people, or maybe I should try this dating book, or maybe I should try this dating group, or maybe I should try being celibate, or maybe I should try to like not want it for a while, and like try to not think about it so that I can convince the universe to give it to me in some like backwards way, because I'm saying that I don't actually want it, and it becomes this thing where we're just constantly cycling around, like what do I do to get a relationship? Or same thing with our career. It's like, should I be doing this, or maybe I'm doing this, and we go really, really hard on something for like a week or a couple of weeks, and then we totally burn out on it, and then we give up on it, and then we try something else, and then there's a roadblock, and then we give up, and then we get discouraged, and we think, okay, this is working, and then it's not working, and then all of this stuff. And there's just like this constant, I need to get to this thing. And like I say, the constant cycle is the going really, really hard on it, the getting really, really nitpicky, obsessive, it becomes your whole world, it becomes your whole life, you burn yourself out, and then you get totally overwhelmed, stressed out, can't do it, you fall off, you fall into your coping mechanisms, you fall back into all of your old behaviors, you abandon everything that you're doing, start again, and then start again, you get really hard on it, you go really, really intense on it, everything's just like your whole world is about that, and then you get burnt out, you get exhausted, you quit, you let go, you can't do it, you fail, whatever, and it's just this constant loop of going really, 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 really hard, and then having to give up, and then going really, really hard, and then getting overwhelmed, and then going really, really hard. Can we resonate with this cycle of just the thing we think is going to save our lives, the thing we think is going to be the thing that makes us happy, the thing we think is going to be the thing that fixes us? And we, like I say, we obsess about it, we get little nitpicky, we jump from thing to thing to thing to thing, we go it super hard, and then we get super overwhelmed. Okay. This is rooted. Okay. This is rooted in a couple of things. Okay. First things first. The first thing it's rooted in is that we are hoping that this one thing, that this one area of our life is going to be the answer for all of our pain. We're putting all of our eggs in this one thing's basket. And when we do this, okay, it gives us this sense of like this double-edged sword. The first side is that it makes us feel empowered, right? It makes us feel like, okay, I've got it figured out. This is the root of my problem. If I can just heal my body, if I can just get the job, if I could just get the relationship, if I could just figure out how to love myself perfectly, whatever it is, this is the answer. If I could just reach enlightenment. That was a huge one for me for a really long time. Like literally my husband will tell you, I was like obsessed with enlightenment, and it's funny because at the time I don't even think I really even had a concept of what enlightenment was. It was just like I was going to reach enlightenment, and then I was just going to know everything, and all of my pain was going to go away, right? And so I would I was obsessed, like absolutely every single minute of every single day was focused on meditation, reading spiritual books, listening to Alan Watts, listening to Ram Dass, meditating, this type of meditation, this meditation. The point being, I really believed that if I achieved this thing, this perfect state, I would feel completely better. It would heal my whole life. And it felt like all of my problems and all the other chaos in my life, I could just say, well, it's because I'm not enlightened. And that'll go away once I have enlightenment. That'll be perfect once I have enlightenment. I'm going to reach this place, and it's all going to be fixed. So that's part of what we do here, right? We isolate our lives down. We boil our lives down. We simplify everything down to the cause of my pain is this one thing. And the reason I'm in pain is because I don't have this one thing, right? It's not that I don't actually like the career I'm doing. It's not that I don't think that I have all this childhood trauma around my relationships. It's not, it's like if I just had the relationship, all of this pain would go away. And it's because I don't have it that I am in pain. If I just had the body, all of my pain would go away. And it's the pain in my body that is the problem with everything in my life. And like I say, we do this, again, because it gives us a feeling of power. If I just fix this one thing, which seems simple enough to us, even if it seems complicated to fix the thing, for us to say, yeah, but if I do this one thing, if I learn self-love perfectly, if I heal my body, if I get the relationship, if I get the job, if I find the life purpose, if I get enlightened, if I fully actualize, whatever it is we say, all of my suffering will go away. So there's that one side. It makes us feel empowered. But on the other side, because life is never that simple, okay, because our pain is never rooted in one thing, because life is always going to be complex, because our pain is going to be coming from lots of different sources, as much as that's not fun to hear, there isn't a root cause of pain. There isn't a root cause of our suffering. There isn't a root cause or a single thing that's going to make us in pain or deliver us into pleasure. Life is complex. It is multifactorial. It is always going to be complex and multifactorial. Life is always going to contain areas where we're struggling a little, areas where we don't have what we want and what we need, areas that are going really well, areas that feel amazing, areas where we're thriving, and these things are going to always coexist. And learning how to de-compartmentalize everything, right? So instead of saying, I'm just going to dump it all into this thing because that makes it feel like I could just solve this one thing and then I have complete control. We're going to say, no, okay, like there are parts of me that are struggling with this, that are struggling with this, that are doing really well with this, that are happy in this, that are hurting here, that are in pleasure here, and learning, like I say, to be able to show up for all the different parts of ourselves that can be feeling lots of different things all at one time, that can be experiencing things all different, is actually, right, the complexity of that actually brings us more peace because it's more in alignment with truth. So when we're trying to compartmentalize everything, boil all of our pain down, all of our suffering, all of our, if I could just fix this, my whole life would be better, into one thing, we actually make ourselves feel worse because our emotional guidance system is letting us know that is not true. You see? So this is where we get into that state where we start to feel this like urgency and this intensity and this we can't relax and we can't be okay and we can't calm down and we can't let it go. We can't take a break. We can't be on a journey. We can't allow for the path. We start to become desperate. We start to become, like I say, really intense in our pursuit of the thing and really micro-focused, and we lose all perspective. Because the more we try to minimize something, the more we don't look at the actual complexity of things, the worse things are going to get. Yes? When we have a car and the engines needs fixing and the tires need fixing and the oil needs a change and there's all these different things going on. And we just keep changing the oil and changing the oil and changing the oil and changing the oil we use and changing the way we do the oil and changing the oil and changing the oil and changing the oil. All the other parts of the car that aren't being attended to get weaker and weaker and weaker as we continue to drive on it. And then we change the oil again, and then the car gets a little bit weaker, and then we change the oil again, and the engine gets a little bit weaker, and the tire gets a little bit weaker. And the car actually gets worse and worse and worse over time because we're not paying attention to all the different areas. We're micro-focusing on one area and keep thinking, if I just get this perfect, it will make the whole car work. And not noticing that it's like, no, it's because we're neglecting to pay attention to all the different aspects of the car. We keep driving on a poor engine, on a tire that needs changing, on brakes that aren't working. These things just continue to get weakened as we do this. Does this make sense? So as we micro-focus in our own lives, as we say, this is the thing, I just need to get more and more and more on this, the worse we're going to feel. Because all the areas of our lives that we're neglecting, yes, are going to be speaking to us through our feeling. And then that's going to drive us to want to focus in on the other thing even more. So the worse we feel, the more we micro-focus down, the more we want to clamp down, the more we want to feel like we have power and control. So we make it about this thing even more, and then these other things get worse, and then we clamp down even more, and then we feel even worse, and then we feel like the only answer is to clamp down more, and then we go harder and harder and harder, and these other areas get more and more neglected. We feel worse and worse and worse, and then eventually we reach burnout. We reach complete overwhelm. We reach all other systems crash. The thing that we were so focused on didn't even work. We didn't get there. It didn't fix it, even if we did get there. And then we give up. And we say, it's not going to work. I'm going to be in pain forever. Or we break down, we have the meltdown, we let go for a bit, and then we start up again, focusing in on that thing. Or we pick a new thing, so it's different now. Okay, maybe it wasn't my relationships, it's my body. I need to do the body. And then we go super hard on the body, everything gets worse, we feel more out of control, we hyper-focus in to try to give ourselves a feeling of control, everything gets worse, we hyper-focus in. Does this resonate? Do we recognize this pattern? Right? We're trying to give ourselves power by making it that it's this one thing, and if I fix and do this one thing perfect, my whole life will be perfect. And because that's not reality, the other parts of the car of our lives break down because they're not getting the attention they need. And as that happens, we feel worse, which makes us want to clamp down more. So the one thing we don't want to do is slow down, back up, and widen our perspective. The three things, right? when we're in that place of everything super overwhelming and we're in pain and we just want it to be this one thing, we don't want to say, okay, hold on. It might just be that this one thing isn't the answer. That this one area isn't the entire reason I'm in pain. That this one thing isn't it. And it's not about learning to hack this or get this perfect as fast as possible or do this perfect. Because at the end of the day, we're never going to perfectly love ourselves. We're never going to have a body that's perfectly healthy and never gets sick. We're never going to have a perfect relationship. We're never going to have a career that's inspiring and amazing and something that we love all the time. Life is always going to be a journey, okay? But this doesn't mean we can't feel good in the journey. This doesn't mean we can't be mostly having a life of pleasure, even though it's changing and we're growing and we need different things and things are coming up all the time, right? So I know that we can get a little bit black and white thinking on this. That it's like, well, if I'm never going to get there, if I'm never going to fix it, and if my life is never going to be perfect, then I'm just going to be in pain forever. I'm just going to be suffering forever. I'm just going to feel like I feel right now forever. And it's like, no, of course not. Neither of these things are the reality. Whenever we're like, well, which is it? Is it this or is it this? We want to say, okay, whenever I ask myself that question, it's neither. There's something in the middle. There's a third thing. Is it that I'm going to be miserable forever because there's no end? Or am I going to nail it? Am I going to achieve it? Am I going to get there? And then I'm going to feel amazing? No, neither of these things. You're going to feel better and better and better and better and better as you make progress throughout your life. That's reality. We don't get there, right? When I first started my healing path at 14, I was like in a really rough state. Probably almost dead. 10 years ago, when I was 22, I was way worse than I am right now. You could not pay me to go back to where I was when I was 22. But from 14 to 22, I felt so much better. So much better. Like, again, at 22, I was like, this is the best it's ever been. This is amazing. There's still totally things that suck. There's still a lot of painful stuff. But my life, like, I constantly look at my life as like, this is a miracle because I just can't believe that it's better. I can't believe how much better it is. And that is really the point. That I can enjoy and love and embrace and have a good time within the life that I'm living right now, which is never perfect. Okay? I still have things in my life that are very painful. I still have things in my body. I still have things in my relationships. I still struggles, things that I want that I don't have, all that stuff. I'm a normal human just like everybody else. But I am so much happier and healthier and better than I ever used to be. So it's not that I perfected it and now I'm transcended. It's not that I perfected it and understood and healed myself and then started on my life path. This has been a completely imperfect, just walking it out one step at a time, pursuing what I wanted to pursue, what was important to me, one foot in front of the other, while I was suffering, while I was struggling, while I was still figuring it out. And it was in the walking it out that I figured things out, okay? So the point is, what enabled me to get out of that cycle of the like just go super hard, completely get obsessed, fall off, or burn myself out, which was mostly what I did, just like way overdo it, completely burn myself out, get totally exhausted, start again, totally exhausted, start again, and not actually be making progress in a lot of areas of my life because I wasn't looking at them was to first realize that, again, life is complex. Every area of my life needed to be taken into account. There were parts of me that were being neglected, right, that I didn't want to look at. And this is something that is very common. Like, we all have parts of ourselves and parts of our pain and parts of our trauma and parts of our history and the things that are causing us pain in our current reality that we are afraid to look at, that we don't want to have to face, that we don't want to have to process, that right now we maybe can't, right? There were a lot of things in my life where for many, many years, I didn't even know I had childhood trauma. I didn't know that I had a relationship with my parents that was really unhealthy, and there was a lot that I needed to look at and deal with there. I didn't know that I had a histamine intolerance. I didn't know I had autism. I didn't know why I was in pain the way that I was in pain. I had no clarity on that. And like I said, there were things I had resistance to looking at, because absolutely we all do. I didn't want to admit that my parents may have been abusive. Like, that, who wants to think of like that, right? Like, nobody wants to admit these things. And that is what I really want to say, especially about this, is like, we are going to have to understand that we are going to have resistance to looking at the complexity of our lives, because it's going to be overwhelming. And it's going to feel like, if it's all of these things, I'm never going to deal with all of these things, and therefore I'm going to feel like shit forever. And it's going to feel like, well, then I have to be like so on it and like so focused, and like this healing thing has to be my whole life. And again, I would say no, it doesn't, and absolutely no, it doesn't. Yes, we want to understand that things are complex and that no one area of our lives is going to be the answer. We're not going to boil it down and find the thing that's the cause of our pain, that's the cause of the thing that's holding us back, nor are we going to achieve something or become something that's going to be the reason we're happy forever. That life is always going to be complex. And with that, we need to then say, okay, I'm going to take a step back, I'm going to slow down, and I'm going to realize that this is going to get processed. This is going to get looked at. This is going to get dealt with over the long term. There is not going to be a moment. There's not going to be a thing. There's not going to be an answer. There's not going to be a plant medicine trip or a healing journey or the thing in the diet or the person we meet or the workshop we go to that changes everything. There may be moments of profound change. There may be moments of profound insight. There may be moments of like, whoa, we built something, and then we put the last piece on and it looks like overnight success. Those things are going to happen. But the cultivation of becoming who we need to become in order to achieve any of these things, in order to grow, in order to really, like I say, so this can be looked at in the terms of like how we're processing our traumas, how we're learning to get to know ourselves, how we're healing, integrating. And this can be looked at in like the things we want to create and achieve. The people we want to become in our careers, the people we want to become in our relationships, the things we want to build in our lives. Both. Same thing. It's not going to be a moment. It's not going to be a thing. It's not going to be one area we focus on, micro-focus forever. It's going to be a whole cultivation that happens over time within our limited nervous systems. So again, we have to remember that we are not just our intellect. So just because we learn something intellectually, just because we understand, oh, I have CPTSD from my childhood. Great. I'm over it now because I understand it. Okay? This is a lot of us do this. We think we understand something intellectually, and therefore we should be over it. And therefore, we understand it, we get it, we apply it to ourselves. Great. I'm over it now. I should be able to go on and live a totally different life. I should be able to go and do something totally different now. I see why I have this block. I totally understand it. I see what I need. I should just be able to give that to myself now and be that new person. And the reality is, nope, you can't. Learning it intellectually is the very first step. It is not the last step. It's not the thing that changes your life. Hearing something, understanding something, intellectually getting it, that's the manager having the information. But that is not it actually being executed. Right? The mind is only the manager. And I know so much of spirituality and the self-help and the spiritual world want to tell us that mind is everything, that the world is created by the mind. And this is absolutely not true. The mind is the manager. It compartmentalizes, it sorts, it understands, it gives direction, but it doesn't make anything happen. Okay? The actual work of being with yourself is not an intellectual understanding. It's a practice and a process in real reality. Okay? We have to differentiate between literally like the digital matrix, this is all thought theory world, and practical application, actual reality, things happening in real reality. Talking about self-love, understanding the process of self-love, understanding the process of whatever. Again, if we put it in practical terms, if you fully know how to paint intellectually, and you imagine painting in your mind, you can do every single step of painting a picture intellectually in your mind, you totally understand it, you watch Bob Ross for 400 hours, you know how to paint intellectually. Do you have a painting? Like, just think about it. Do you have a painting that you can hang on your wall because you watched 400 hours of Bob Ross and thought about painting? And you know everything about painting and you can walk through every single step of painting in your head? Do you have a painting? No, you do not. Okay? If you know everything there is to know about exercise, you studied the course, you're a personal trainer, you studied every single thing there is to know about weightlifting. You know exactly how to do supersets, you know how to do a bulk program, you know how to do a cut, you know how to do all of these things. You can map it out in your head, you can write it down, you can make a plan for other people. You have a whole thing. Have you built muscle? Do you now have a body with 40 pounds more muscle? No, you do not. Because that's all theory. That's all intellect. The mind doesn't create anything. The mind can conceptualize a creation. The mind can give directions for how we're going to create something. But just because you sit there and visualize having a body, if you just lay in bed, you will not have it. If you lay in bed thinking about a painting, you do not have a painting. It's not the same thing. That's virtual reality. Not until we actually walk it out is it real. And it takes way longer to actually go and make the painting than it does to imagine the painting. It takes way longer in real reality to go to the gym and lift the weights and eat the diet and do the thing to build the 40 pounds of muscle than it does to conceptualize it in your head. And the way we do the painting, the way we build the muscle, we got all the information, we got all the tools, we have the awareness, we have the understanding, and then what do? We just do the process over and 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 over again. We show up as much as we can, not too much, not too little, right? Because if we go to the gym and we go super, super hard for a week and we hurt ourselves, we're not going to build that 40 pounds of muscle. Because then we have to take a break and then we lose our progress. If we go really, really hard on the painting, we'll hurt ourselves. We'll make the canvas too wet. We'll tear it. We have to moderate. There is no rushing creating something in the real reality. So it's the same thing with our self-love practice. It's the same thing with any other area of our life where we're trying to develop ourselves. Intellectually understanding is the first step. It is not it. Actually practicing it in real life. And the things that need to happen so that our physiology, our psychology, our biology can shift enough that we can start to actually have new and different habits, that we can actually live in new and different ways, that we are transformed. That process is slow because our nervous systems work slow, our bodies work slow, and physical reality works a lot slower than we want it to most of the time. Transformation means bringing all of the layers of ourselves to a different level. Not just the mind, not just the emotions, not just the body. The whole self has to come. And in order for that to happen, we need time and repetition. We grow ourselves through time and repetition. We become new versions of ourselves through time and repetition, through continually feeling, okay, what's working? More of that, right? We learn more and more and more. Okay, what kind of pain is this? Is this consensus reality pain? Is this real reality pain? Is this consensus reality pleasure? Is this real reality pleasure? Continuing to build on the things that give us that little bit of pleasure. Continuing to address the areas as much as we can until we get tired, until we get overwhelmed, until it's too much, and then we take a break. We have to learn how to take breaks. We have to learn how to say, it's not all this one thing. I'm not going to solve this one area of my life and then fix everything. And I don't have to get to a perfect place in this one area of my life before I will be happy. We have to start to say, okay, I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to realize my life is a collection of things. There might be multiple areas of my life where I have a mess going on, where there's pain. Okay, how do you suggest overcoming from a painful abandonment wound from early childhood emotional neglect? Yes, so again, everything that I'm saying here is the thing. The self-love path, the healing path, the learning to be with ourselves, the learning how to show up for ourselves, bring these little parts of ourselves forward, give them a voice, emotionally process all of this stuff, it's time. It's multiple things. There isn't a thing you're going to do to integrate a childhood trauma. There isn't a process you're going to go through. There isn't a thing. There isn't an intellectual understanding. You're going to slowly Show up for yourself a little bit more every single day, as much as you can. There are going to be times where you need to go through a period of journaling, where you need to cry every day, where you need to get really mad at your caregivers, where you need to cut them out of your life, where you need to take empowerment back in your life and start realizing where you're still living under their thumb and choosing to do things different even though your nervous system is freaking out. You see what I'm saying? There isn't a thing that's going to be the thing that helps you overcome. You're going to take steps and steps and steps. So the step is to show up for yourself where you are right now and say, okay, what am I needing right now and what am I capable of right now? What am I feeling right now and how can I hold myself through that feeling? And then just look for the tools, because this is the thing. I truly believe that when we're allowing ourselves to just be where we are in the process, instead of saying, how do I get to the end goal? How do I get to the end? How do I figure this out? We have the, okay, I want to get there. That's great. That's totally valid. And of course, I believe that I'm not going to be happy until I get there, that I will be happy when I get there and all these things. And then we just pull ourselves back to where we are right now. What am I feeling right now? What am I experiencing right now? What's coming up for me right now? And then you're going to be able to discern the tool that's right for you right now. Because this is the key to walking the path. We let go of looking for the ultimate tool. We let go of looking for the ultimate hack. We let go of, yes, okay? So we let go. How do I stop myself from freezing? How do I stop what's the answer to let myself feeling anger? How do I get myself to feel sadness? We let go of all of that. And we say, okay, where I am right now is that my body freezes. So what's the tool that I can actually apply to my actual reality right now? Compassion for myself that I freeze. That's it. That's your next tool. That's the next step. We just look at, what am I capable of right now? And we look for all the tools that are available. And then we say, okay, well, feeling the sadness and feeling the anger isn't available right now. That's not the tool for me right now. Getting mad at them isn't the tool for me right now. Journaling, maybe that feels a little bit okay. Maybe I can do a little journaling process. Maybe it feels okay to just sit here and say, okay, I'm freezing. I'm in this freeze state, and instead of getting mad at myself, instead of trying to fix myself, instead of trying to unfreeze, instead of trying to figure out how and why and all these things, I'm just going to say, okay, I see you. It's okay that you're freezing. Thank you for trying to protect me. And you just get embodied in the fact that you're freezing, and you just have compassion for the fact that you're freezing. And you have compassion and compassion and compassion until another tool arises that feels like something you can do. Does this make sense? This is the technique. We show up for who and what we actually are right now. And we just utilize the tool that's possible to utilize in this moment. And we let go of all the other stuff. We will get there. We will get there. Okay? We will get there. Just like when we're climbing a mountain and we have a map and we know that there's going to be a river here, then there's going to be a rock here, and then there's going to be a tree in our path here. When we're over here at the river, if we're trying to do what we need to do to get around the tree, we're never going to get across the river. If we're anticipating, I'm going to have to get around a tree, so what do I do to get around the tree? But you're at the river. You're never going to get to the tree because you need to focus on how to get over the river. Sure, there's a tree coming up. You know that in the back of your mind. That's fine. But that's not the step you need to take right now. That's not available right now. Doing what you need to do to get around the tree will not help you. Show up for who and what you are right now. Show up where you are right now. And then look for the tool that's accessible right now. And understand that as you do that, right? You will learn. Forget all about the whole path and just do the river. Because if you just do the river, you cross the river. And now you're at the rock. And then you just do the rock. And then you get to the tree. And then you just do the tree. And now you're so far ahead. So how can I discipline myself to be consistent? It is so hard with some things and easy with others. That's the other thing. This is how we learn. The way we learn consistency is we show up for what we think we're capable of, and then we decrease that by 10 or 20%. Okay? This is what I think I can do. This is what I'm capable of. I'm going to take that down, like 20%. Does this make sense first? Right? Whatever we think we're capable of, reduce it by 20%. And then we commit to showing up for that for 30 days. That's how I always did it. I always just said, okay, I want to become enlightened. That's the path, whatever. How do I show up for myself? So I just said, I need to meditate 2 hours a day. So what I did was I took it down. Realistically, for me, in my life, I had enough time for 1 hour a day. And then I just made that my non-negotiable for 30 days. Which turned into 60 days, which turned into 90 days, which turned into, since 2014 now. Pick something that feels doable for a set period of time and give yourself the feeling of what it's like to get in the habit of doing something. Okay, because this is also how I learned to write. Like at this point, I can sit down and write 3,000 words in like 2 hours. Like that's like a normal work day. I can do a whole post. In my mystery school, I would be able to do like a whole write-up for an entire lesson in one go. But that's because years and years and years ago, I set a goal for myself that I was going to write a blog every single day for 30 days. And I was going to publish that blog every single day for 30 days. And here's the other thing. Here's the main thing about this. This only works. Okay? I don't believe we can develop discipline in something and consistency in something that we're not doing because we know inside we want to do it for ourselves. Okay, so here's the real thing. I don't think that there is any way to force ourselves to do a thing, to become disciplined at a thing, that we're not seeing results from and that isn't important to us. So sometimes we need to say, this would be a thing that would be good for me. This would be a thing I should do. This would be a thing that maybe would totally enhance my life. But at this point, I don't care enough about it. I'm not motivated enough to do it to be consistent with it yet. And I feel like so few spiritual self-help, self-love teachers will say this. We have to give ourselves permission to just not be ready or willing to be committed right now. Like to really give ourselves permission that it's like, yeah, this thing would probably like totally change my life. This thing might be like the best thing I could possibly do for myself. But I don't have to do it. I don't ever have to do it. There's no rule that says I have to do it. And even if it's going to be the very best thing for me ever in the whole world, I don't care enough right now. I'm not motivated enough right now. I don't have that thing inside of me that like I want to do this so that when it gets really hard, there's a thing inside me that says, yes, this is worth it. Okay? And I just think that is the main bottom line factor, is what you are trying to commit to. Do you care about it? Is it actually important to you? Is it worth it to you? And if it isn't, if there isn't that thing inside of you that says, yeah, I'm willing to push through the discomfort of what this is going to be, compassion. Okay, maybe this is just not a thing I'll ever do. What if it's something with work that is not enjoyable, but we have to do it? So again, in those situations, right, when it's just you have to do it, there doesn't really need to be discipline. In the sense of like, you don't really have a choice. You're gonna not have a job, or you're gonna have a job. And that should usually be enough to motivate you to do it. Like, you hate it, and that, I've been there a lot too, like where it's just a shit sandwich, right? Like, it's which shit sandwich do you want to eat? Do you want to eat the shit sandwich of, this is the job I have right now, but I want the money and I want to be able to keep paying rent, so I'm going to do the thing I don't want to do, and then maybe that will help motivate me for where I can make changes and be working towards something else on the side. Like, that's kind of what I did when I was working jobs I really didn't like, and when I was stuck in a situation like that, it was just, okay, I'm going to use that as motivation to, when I get home, I'm working on my business on the side. I'm doing the other thing on the side. And like, I know not all of us have the capacity to do that or whatever. And it's more just to say, sometimes the way we need to empower ourselves is just to say, I'm making a choice to do this thing that I don't really want to do, that I don't really enjoy or whatever, because I'm choosing that I would rather do it and get paid than not do it and not have a job. Right? So instead of feeling like we're totally trapped in our situation, like I have to do this, you can say, well, no, I don't have to. It's just if I don't, what are the consequences of that? And if I do, what are the consequences of that? And which one do I choose? Right? So we're still giving ourselves like a feeling of empowerment, even within a situation that feels shitty. That's always what I would do. Like when I was in positions where it was just neither option really was good, it was like, well, at least I'm consciously choosing this option that I'm choosing. I'm choosing to keep going to the job that I don't really like because I don't want the alternative of not having a job. I don't want the alternative. And then I'm going to be looking for another job while I'm doing it. I'm going to be going to school. I'm going to be doing whatever I need to do to try to make it different for myself, or to make it as enjoyable for myself as I possibly can. Because that's the other thing. It's sometimes we just need to learn to say, okay, this is not ideal, but how can I nourish myself, and how can I be there for myself, and how can I have compassion for myself, and how can I take care of myself within this thing I don't really want to be doing? Because the alternative is worse for me. Because that's the situation that we're in sometimes, is we can't make it better, we can't make it different, the alternative is worse. So how do I take care of myself within this? How do I show up for myself within this? How do I be here for myself even though this is a non-ideal situation? What do I need to help me get through this? Right? We don't abandon ourselves, we stay with ourselves, we process, we cry maybe every night at how horrible it is, but we're there for ourselves. We can continue to cultivate that sense of, I'm not going to abandon me. I'm going to keep being here for me. I'm going to keep being curious for where there is opportunity to move forward and take care of myself, okay? So, yes. And then in the areas where it's not life or death, we're not being forced to do something, we first say, am I really ready for this right now? And if I'm not, no guilt, no shame, no beating ourselves up, no telling ourselves we should. We can't make ourselves ready for something before we're ready. Sometimes we need to stay in the shitty thing we're in and learn from it for another couple of months, another year, whatever it is, before we're going to be ready to be committed to doing something different. Because remember, doing something different, even doing something different that feels good, that's good for us, our nervous systems are going to fight us a little bit. Because what we're doing may be shitty, may feel awful, but it's homeostasis. And our bodies and our minds are constantly craving the predictable. When we're in pain especially, we don't want to do anything different. because that's a threat. Different is novel, is scary. So we have to understand that the safer we can make ourselves in whatever we're in, the safer we can make ourselves in the I'm not ready yet. I don't want to have to move. I don't want to have to change. I'm not ready. It's not going to be okay. I don't trust it. I don't have the willpower. I don't have the discipline right now. Even if I could see that it would be good for me, I don't want to do it. The more we can make that safe, the more we can have compassion for ourselves, the more we can say, okay, fine, you never have to do it. You're allowed to destroy your entire life for the rest of your life if you ever want to, and I'm just going to love you the whole time. The more we do that, the more our nervous systems might say, okay, maybe we can try it. Maybe I'll be ready to do it. But the more we tell ourselves, you have to do this, you have to be different, you have to change, and the fact that you're not committed, what's wrong with you? Like, look at how much you're ruining your life, look at how much you're hurting yourself, look at how much you're hurting others, you're the worst. We actually drive ourselves deeper into our little micro focus or deeper into not being able to change. We have to make it safe to be who and what we are right now. That is the main thing. Whatever we're going through right now, just keep working on making that safe. Start there. And then when you get to a place where I feel like I want to do the new challenge for myself, I just want to see what's going to happen. I want to give myself the opportunity to try something new so that my nervous system can learn something new. And doing something new so that my nervous system gets the experience of something new, and I go through that period where it's really uncomfortable and really unsafe and everything inside of me wants to run away and not do it and doesn't feel good and oh my God, I'm going to die. And I have this inner motivation that I'm just going to see myself through it for 30 days. I'm just going to see myself through it and see what happens, and I'm going to get to the other side, and if I want to keep going, I'll keep going, and if I don't, if it's still not worth it, it's okay, I can let it go. Okay, so going back to the freeze, it's even keeping me stuck from doing work. My head is like snap out of it, and my body is struggling because I'm in the midst of processing traumas. Okay, so now do you know the answer? From what I just said, what's the answer? There's one answer. When you don't know what to do, compassion, right? Compassion is the answer. We just make it safe. And I know that that's hard and that's super scary. Because we say, well, if I make it safe, I'm going to be like this forever. Maybe. But the continually trying to push yourself to be something different probably isn't working, right? All of us can take a step back and say, yeah, the pushing myself to do something different, when I'm not motivated from the inside to do it, it's not actually working. It's making me micro-focused, it's making me obsessive, and it's making me burn out. Or it's freezing me and I'm getting stuck. So we gotta just be willing to say, okay, we make it okay. We make it safe. I'm gonna be here. And then, like I said, instead of looking for the answer or the area, we just look for the next tool that we are capable of using. And then, like I say, if we get to a place where we say, okay, I'm ready to do something different, I want to do something different, we see what we think we're capable of, we decrease it 20%, and then we commit to it for 30 days from an internal place. And if it's not from an internal place, it's not going to work. So if you don't feel like it, if you don't feel it, make that okay. Okay, so it does feel unsafe, but I'm tired of pushing my whole life, so I'm going to try this approach. Exactly. It's going to be scary to try the new approach. So just like what I just said with this, don't do it till you feel like you're really ready inside to give it a try. And if that's not now, let it go. Keep pushing. Make it totally safe that you're going to keep trying your thing. Or that you're going to give up, or whatever it is, until you're ready. Until you're ready to say, okay, I'm going to give myself the next 30 days. And when I freeze, instead of trying to fix myself, instead of trying to change myself, I'm just going to notice, and I'm going to be nice to myself. I'm going to say, I see you, I love you, I hear you. What can I do to make you feel safe right now? It's okay if you freeze forever. You never have to unfreeze. It's okay. Okay? Going slow from a place that actually you care about inside is the fastest way to get to where you want to go. Showing up for what you are in right now, the tool that's available to you right now, and just that is the fastest way to make it all the way up the mountain. Life does not happen in our minds. Understanding something intellectually isn't changing your life. Walking it out repeatedly is changing your life. And then, like I said, if you're at a place right now where it's just not worth it, you can't, it's too scary, it's too much, it's worth it, but your body is telling you no, you can't, make it safe. Make it safe to never do it. You're just going to show up for you, for who and what you are right now, and you're going to make yourself safe right now. It's okay. Even if you destroy your whole life. I've been there. I told myself, it's okay. If you destroy yourself, I'm going to love you all the way to your grave. Because I've tried to force you to be different over and over and over again, and you can't. You get stuck every time. So I'm just going to be here with you. And then that's when I started to discover, okay, well, actually there are things that I do want to do. And if it's okay that I ruined my whole life and you're still going to love me, well, maybe I'm a little bit brave to do some things. Because that means that I'm not going to be totally abandoned and without love. And then that gave me the bravery to discover the things that actually mattered to me, that I then committed to, and I've been committed to now forever. Right? I still write every day. I still meditate every day. And neither of these things totally fixed my life, but both of them have completely changed my life over time within the larger context of all the other areas of my life. It gave me the space to not micro-focus on anything. Right? I had to let go that enlightenment was going to change my whole life. So I could still do it. I still pursue it. But also my physical health, also my relationships, also my career. I'm a whole person. It's not just sit and meditate all day and then one day I'm going to be happy. I had to get complex. And that was slow over time. As much as I could at a time, and then rest. So if we get to a point where we're overwhelmed, we can't process anymore, the emotions are too much, it's too much, take a break. Don't keep pushing. Don't keep trying today. You'll pick it back up tomorrow. That's why I like the idea of like setting aside time to emotionally process every day for 10 or 15 minutes and then be done with it for the rest of the day. You can numb out, you can cope, you can scapegoat, do whatever you need to do. Know that you have the out because you're going to do it. You're going to do your processing for that 10 or 15 minutes. So then you're not obsessively doing it all day, trying to be on top of yourself every minute. Just do it for a little while and then live your life. See what happens when we go the low and slow approach. It's not all one thing. We're never going to perfect a thing. It's not about perfectly being on top of yourself in any area at any time. Commit to a little bit every single day when it matters to you. And then let it go for the rest of the day. Live your life for the rest of the day. Unless you really feel like you want to do it. Right? And if it's not overwhelming, if it's not totally driving you nuts, if it's like, no, I need to do some extra processing today, go ahead. But don't think you have to be doing it all the time. Right? And when you get into that, take a break. That is a sign to back up, back off, do less, do something else, focus on something else, open your perspective to something new. Decompartmentalize. All right? Okay. Hope that was helpful. If it doesn't matter to you right now, if you can't get yourself to do it right now, that's okay. Compassion is number one. Safety is number one. Compassion and safety, one thing. Make it safe, make it okay. The more you do that, the more free you're going to get to pursue the things that really do matter to you. You will discover what matters to you if you give yourself permission to just relax and love yourself for who you are. And then what's the next tool ahead of me? What's the next thing right now in front of me? And just do that. Just do that step. Do that one thing that you can do, and then relax. Okay? Okay. That is that. I love you all. You're amazing. You're perfectly exactly where you should be. Be where you are. That is the fastest way. All right. Mwah. See you next week.